schools, 3 teachers, and 3 educational experts in one programme. What happens? You'll learn how to invest time to save time. Coming up, thinking skills specialist Lisa gets to grips with time wasting during lessons.
These are different types of activities that can take place in different sections, and schools that have taken this on board have equally seen the improvement.
An ICT Supremo Nick demonstrates the wonder of the internet.
Even just managing the information to the relevant people is a bit of a pain when letters go missing or you haven't got permission for things. And I was wondering about suggesting some kind of online document storage.
But first, early years extraordinaire Jane Dixon has come to Lowercroft Primary in Bury to help Viv Barlow, a Year 1 teacher whose classes have lost their sparkle.
It's just that we've seen there's so much that we're expected to teach that we don't get time to have the fun times really, because there's so much else that we need to do during a working day. So really we're just looking at times where we can have fun, but there's a lot of value in it.
Absolutely. I think for you, thinking about putting the fun back into teaching and, you know, planning with that in mind, you can be looking to continuing the good practice that's begun in the reception class in terms of, you know, sustained play and actually getting them outside as well. There are lots of things you can do outside with children. Don't be afraid to let them have time where they're just actually out there playing and enjoying and engrossing themselves. Perhaps taking the children out and giving them some problem solving things to do, like you might give them some bamboo canes and some old canvas or some newspapers, and challenging them to make a den for themselves perhaps. And that's very much cross-curricular, because you've got your maths, you've got your estimating, you've got your spatial awareness, you've got your geography, you've got your science, and you know straight away you're freeing up some of the timetable, which I know is very pressured for other things as you've described.
They're so excited when they know they're going outside.
Yes.
The mood just lifts immediately, doesn't it?
Let them just enjoy it. They might do anything. They might want to pick daisies. They might want to, you know, have a play fight. They might want to sleep in it, you know. But, you know, let them do that.
Time.
Yes, absolutely. Quite like the idea actually of them lying down as well, watching clouds. Just lying down, how lovely. And you, obviously, with them.
Oh, yes.
Lying down, looking at clouds and describing what they see and what do they look like, and, you know, can I see a face, you know, all that sort of thing. And then maybe they could perhaps take photographs and label them or write a little story about the character. Obviously, I mean, you've got to think of children's different learning styles, and lots of, you know, the young children are very kinesthetic learners, aren't they, and they need to be active and doing, and, you know, research tells us that, you know, physical development and cognitive development are very interlinked. So, you know, there's every reason, you know, the government recognises the importance of play, you know, in terms of they're providing, I think it's £225 million to provide play areas outside. So there's very much, the time is right, I think, for us to say, let's get out there.
Even though we've got all these wonderful ideas and things that we would love to do with them, we've still got the SATs at the end of year 2, and I know they're not given as much prevalence as they were, but even so, we still know that they've got to be at a certain standard by the end of the following year, and it's quite tricky really to get the balance, really.
But I do feel that, you know, as long as you don't look at going outside as just very pleasurable, but there's not real learning going on, it absolutely is, you know, real learning. And I think it's a really positive move, and something hopefully that you know, you'd find success, and it would certainly put the fun back into your teaching. I'm sure
it would. It would.
For copies of these resources and more of Jane's ideas, log on to our website at www.teachers.tv. High School's the next stop on our tour of time-saving tips, and it's Lisa Cook's turn to put the magic back into maths for teacher Nigel Bennett.
I've got some really high-achieving groups, but my weaker groups tend to fall after break or after lunch.
Right.
And I just find it difficult getting them settled after break. My lessons have tended to be an extension of break for the first 5 minutes. So I like to get started straight away with something, get their attention so they're looking at something on the whiteboard.
Right, giving them something to make that definite change between being sociable at break and being actually, right, we're going to focus in on maths.
I do try and chunk it up with myself, small part of whole class teaching, individual teaching for those that haven't quite fully understood. Going around helping out, then even stopping the whole class and doing a refresher for the whole class again, maybe taking part in a group activity, maybe a one-on-one activity, maybe a card trick from myself, maybe some juggling, anything like that, just to get them focused again. Okay, we've had a little mind rest now, let's get back on with it.
You call them a mind rest. I think some people call them break state activities, but I think that's a really sensible way of bringing the concentration back in. And one of the schools in Northumberland produced something called accelerated learning. I don't know whether you've heard the term. Okay. What it actually means in practice is that the whole school uses a particular plan of how they teach 1 hour lessons, and it's broken down into 6 or 7 key chunks, and that's what this diagram's about here. These are different types of activities that can take place in different sections, and they saw a massive improvement in results. And schools that have taken this on board have equally seen the improvement, and I think that the improvements are there for the reasons you've already identified. It's short, it's sharp, it's snappy, it's interesting ideas. Some don't appear to be connected to the learning but actually are. And it's a very planned way which really helps a teacher and children know what's going to happen in a lesson. So we're starting off with the environment which we were talking about. So things like the children know that when they come in for break, they line up and they're quiet, or whatever it is that's right for your children in this school. The second stage is the connect. So how are you connecting to previous learning? So that's your settling activity that you were talking about. So be it something on your interactive whiteboard, something that's already on the desk, something that as soon as they come into the room they know they're doing, that's connecting to a previous activity. So that might be 2 to 3 minutes only. And then moving on to the big picture. So you know, for those children who need to know everything in one go, it's giving a real focus on, right, this is the big picture for this lesson, we've seen how it connects into previous learning, this is the next stage.
That's good.
The expected outcomes, you know, how you share your learning objectives, how do you share success criteria with them? Do you keep them up on a board? Do you have them on a whiteboard? What sorts of things do you do?
I'm guilty of this to a certain degree. I'm not consistent in that every single lesson I have my objectives and expected outcomes.
It's boring if we did
projected
that
on the board.
Right, so you can see how that would fit in with this stage. Then the next stage is the input. So how's the learning going to take place? And this is one of your main parts of your lessons. So 15, 20 minutes maybe being focused on inputs in different ways, visual, audio, kinesthetic. So trying to hit all your different learners. So particularly here, I would imagine a lot of your boys are very kinesthetically based learners. So what kind of activity can they have that in maths is going to be quite physical for them?
We do lots of shape and space work.
Right.
We do lots of paper folding, we do lots of compass and pencil drawings.
Right.
And do lots of display work in the classroom for that.
So that would be your input section, and next is the activate, so that they can demonstrate their learning and give them the opportunity to show formatively how much have they got, and you can make those judgments in that section, and be it through any of the activities you've been talking about. So that would be their activate part. And then demonstrate. A short test. Boys love it, don't they? Can they get 5 out of 5 in this one? And then it's the review. And this is the bit that we all find hard to fit in, because it's in that last section of the lesson where you're trying to make sure that they know what they're doing with their homework. You want to keep them focused just that last 10 minutes and not ready to leap out as soon as the bell goes. So it's thinking about activities that in the review they get the opportunity to take part and they're not just listening. So that's the full cycle, and building that down into every lesson so that there's an expected pattern, but equally for us as teachers, I think it helps keep the pace going. This particular route through helps keep it very short, sharp and snappy. And you could put some of your break state activities in at those key points.
For copies of these resources and more of Lisa's ideas, log on to our website at www.teachers.tv. Specialty is saving time through ICT, and he's He's come to Worth Primary in Cheshire to offer advice to Liz Thompson, a PE coordinator with no time to coordinate.
Coordinating dates is the biggest thing,
Sure.
because you get a netball team and you get the set of fixtures that you have to complete by Christmas or whenever it is, and you ring schools and nobody has break times at the same time. So you leave a message for them to get back. They get back to you when you're in lessons, and trying to sort of set dates is impossible. And then, of course, the Great British weather dictates when you don't play matches. You know, you get to the day, it hammers down all day, you have to cancel. So then you have to go through the process all over again. And things like permission slips have to go out for a second time. And for a team of 7, it's not bad, but when you get to cross-country teams of 20, 30 kids, it's really, really difficult.
There are things that are IT-based that I think could help you with some of that coordination. I think even just managing the information to the relevant people is a bit of a pain when letters go missing or you haven't got permission for things. And I was wondering about suggesting some kind of online document storage. You can do it for free on Google Docs. You can put the dates of the potential events that you're going to be involved in online. You can attach the letter that explains what they're going to do, what the timings are or whatever. You can put that in as a document that they can then open up from home. If you've got sporting events with other schools, you could actually give the PE coordinator in the other schools access to the calendar, for instance. So you could say, can you go in and bung in 3 dates that you could make? You know, I just need to coordinate the date.
These are where I can't make it.
Yeah, exactly. Have a look at my calendar. You can see what I can't do and what I can do. You know, can you coordinate with that? Or vice versa, I mean, if they have a similar system. I can show you this calendar stuff at the computer.
Yep.
Okay, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to log into Google. You need to set up an account, but it's free to anybody, so it's not a difficult thing to do. And the standard thing is you go in and do a search, but actually a lot of people don't bother looking at all the other stuff that goes across the top. And there's a thing here called More. The calendar bit is just that link there. Now there's an online calendar. It's showing weekly view, but you can have a daily view or a monthly view. And if I want to put an appointment in, I just double click and say, what is it? And create the event. And there it is, pops it in. So it's very easy to start putting events in. Now you can add detail to these. If you click on it, it brings up a whole lot of other information about what it is that this is about. So I could add locations in. So for your sporting events, that's useful, additional information, obviously. A description could be just reminders. So, you know, if you are going to share this with the children in a team, reminders about what you've got to do. I just have to put their email address in and build up a list of the people who you want to be able to see this. And then all they have to do is log in using that email address and they can see that calendar.
And then basically they come in and fill in the gaps of those possible netball meetings.
Can you just tell me when you can make a netball meeting in the next 3 weeks, please? Just go into our diary and bung in anywhere there's a space. And I'll get back to you and confirm which one's going to be best for us.
Yeah.
You can do that.
So if you forget to take your file of facts home, you've got access to a calendar wherever you are.
You can then link that into the documents. The documents basically would just sit in this part of the site here. You upload documents to this bit and do a very similar kind of thing. You just say, this document is visible by a series of email addresses, and those people can then log in using their email address.
And it can be shared,
They can share it. It could be read-only again, so that the children don't change the letter. They only print it off and
show it as it is,
If you've got a mobile phone that can do 3G, you can even have it synchronised, so you're never really without it. It's, you know, if you're sad and techie like me, that's the kind of thing you get off on.
I don't know. I quite like those sorts of things as well.
For alternate online calendars and more of Nick's ideas, log on to our website at www.teachers.tv.
A tip that works for all would be to learn plod. Prioritise, learn to say no, organise and delegate.